Okay, guys. Hi, this is Sudaku from State of Machinations, and this is Nick.
Hi, I'm Cyclone Metal.
Yes, he is. Um, we're gonna just be. I felt like killing time, so we're gonna talk about shit. I look like shit. He looks like shit. So we're gonna be shitty together.
Sounds
All right.
good. Oh god.
Okay. So, all right. I did have a few things, just pre-prepared things that I wanted to talk about, and the first of them, and you've never been on any of our videos before, so they don't know this about you. But for those of you who might be watching this video, Cyclone Nick is a huge, giant robots and kaiju fan. Am I
Yeah.
pretty spot on about that?
Oh god, yes. I've been watching that shit since I was a kid. It's fucking just magical. I'm
Uh,
also the resident movie guy, so there's that.
oh yeah, he watches a lot more movies than I do.
I watch
Um,
more movies than all of you.
oh God. Yeah, it's kind of weird. You made it onto a video before Vince managed to make it onto it. Well, actually, no, that's not true. He was in one of our Mass Effect videos. So
Damn.
there we go. But um, okay, just so our first topic that I wanted to talk about, and I was just gonna talk to you about this in Skype anyway, so I figured it was a good thing to do on our first one of these. Um, the new Transformers movie, Age of Extinction. What do you think? Possibly revive the series and make it a hit, or worst one yet?
Well, I'm gonna come right out and say that I have not seen it yet.
Well, I don't think
How
it's necessarily out yet. I don't
it is.
think.
It is. It came out last weekend.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know it was out
Yeah.
yet.
I've heard mostly negative things about it. However, I'm going to admit first and foremost that I have a very personal bias against Michael Bay. Not because he's ruined Transformers, but because of the fact that he is just an awful filmmaker overall. That being said, I adore Pearl Harbor. It's one of my favorite movies.
Cool, cool. I see. I was kind of hoping that once they'd kicked Shia LaBeouf out of the film, that it would do a little bit better. But I haven't seen it either. All I've seen is the trailers. Now, the trailers gave me a little bit of hope because I like the design of the Dinobots, and I think that like there's this one scene in the trailer where I think it's Grimlock. I'm not a huge Transformers fan. He's the T-Rex, right?
Yep, that's Grimlock.
Okay. Grimlock is charging at Optimus Prime, and Optimus just screams at him and
And
bitch
then
slaps him with a
back,
shield.
backhands him, yeah.
That is legitimately. I was like, that is actually pretty cool.
Oh,
Like,
yeah, that is pretty awesome. And actually, just either yesterday or the other day, I was watching Pain and Gain.
how is that?
Actually, it wasn't bad. It was a very poignant satirical look at a true story, which I didn't know actually, about a bunch of dudes who kidnapped a guy down in Florida back in the mid '90s, and everything went to hell for them after that because they stole all of his stuff, started living in his house, used his money for coke and bitches and
And how?
steroids. And the dude who played Falcon was in it, and he fucked Fat Amy from Pitch Perfect,
Hmm.
which was hilarious. Honestly, personal biases aside, it was a pretty decent movie, and I recommend it fully.
So wait, that's a Michael Bay movie? Because
Uh
I have
huh.
seen a little bit of that movie.
Oh, it's fucking hilarious.
It looked like a pretty good
Even
movie.
Tony Shalhoub. Tony Shalhoub is even funny in it.
Oh. Oh
Let,
man.
let that sink in for a second. Tony fucking Shalhoub.
His name isn't even funny.
He was that he was that merchant from Men in Black
Oh God. Oh
with
man,
the
I
girl in
hated
the
that
head.
character with passion.
I forgot his name, but good movie, good movie. Another one I'm actually looking forward to is the new Planet of the Apes.
That looks really good. I actually like the rebooted Planet of the Apes. At the
It,
very least, it's better than the shitty Tim Burton one.
Not only is it a reboot, but it's an official prequel.
Oh shit!
Remember in Dawn? Or
Dawn is the new one. Rise is the
yeah,
prequel.
I always do that. Rise in Rise. They had a couple of shots of a newspaper talking about some astronauts going out into space.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly how it happened in the original movie.
Oh damn.
Astronauts flying through a black hole. So Rise, through however they're going to go far, is like the in-between bits.
Huh. That is actually pretty cool. Because I know the main like ape in Rise, isn't that the one that ends up being the leader of their society
Oh, Caesar? Yeah.
Caesar, I think, right?
Oh, yeah. Andy Serkis should have gotten an Oscar for that movie, man. But because the Oscars are so screwed up with their rules about actors that he didn't get one. Like, you have to actually be physically seen on the screen in order to be nominated.
Yeah, it's kind of like how what is it? How Leonardo DiCaprio will never get an Oscar, no matter how good he does.
He
Um,
should have gotten one for Django Unchained.
oh my God, that movie's so good.
He
Like,
literally gave them blood.
oh man, yeah, he. See, that's you can go ahead and tell that story. I know the story that you're thinking of. Though, okay, just go ahead and tell everyone.
There is a scene in Django Unchained where they're all sitting around the table, and Leo's character Candy, he's getting pissed, and he slams his hand on the table right where he was supposed to, but there was a glass there that wasn't supposed to be there, so he cut up his hand really badly, and he just kept going. Tarantino just kept rolling the film, and so when he was wiping blood on her face, on Kerry Washington's face, that was
That's
his
actually
actual
his
blood.
blood. I don't
Yeah,
imagine he was very happy about that.
she went along with it. She thought it was cool.
Yeah.
I was just I watched it with the director's commentary on a while back, and um, Tarantino mentioned that after they did the cut for that scene, she came up to him and said that was pretty cool. So yeah, or something like that. I don't remember now. Like I said, it
Damn.
was like months ago.
Yeah, not bad.
But he literally gave the Academy blood.
And he
But
still didn't get a damn Oscar.
he
Uh,
would have gotten one for Wolf of Wall Street.
that's another really good DiCaprio movie that he was the lead. Well, he wasn't the lead role in Django Unchained. Which, by the way, if we're just giving out Oscars, Jamie Foxx needs to get an Oscar just for how many times he has to hear the N word while that movie is being produced.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So Pacific Rim 2, what are your thoughts on that?
Hopeful. Hopeful for a couple things. Hopeful that it keeps being good, and hopeful that it doesn't like they wrapped it up pretty well in the first one. So like there easily could have not been a sequel. So here's what I'm hoping for. They either need to do a really carefully constructed sequel. And I just kind of gave away my second point. It either needs to be a really carefully constructed sequel where they, actually think about what they're doing. They don't cop out and have some kind of like contrived ass bullshit reason why kaiju come back. Or it needs to be a prequel when the war starts.
That's where the animated series comes in. The animated series is actually going to take place just a couple of years before the first movie, and it's going to tie into that and the second movie.
Oh.
This is Del Toro we're talking about. He really knows how to.
I know, you crazy Latino bastard. At least I'm assuming he's
Not
Latino.
so, even his not so great movies are still really, really consistent.
Yeah.
I mean, Mimic, not his best work. I've got to admit, it's not his best work, but it's consistent when style, acting, tone, visuals.
Yes. I have to say, I had not seen. I don't think I'd seen a Del Toro movie before this. Heresy, I know. But I had not seen a Del Toro movie before Pacific Rim, and goddamn, man.
Alright, So for you and I guess the viewers who have not seen Del Toro, my top recommended Del Toro movies are Pan's Labyrinth, Hellboy 2, and by extension the
Wait, I've
first
seen
Hellboy,
Hellboy. I've seen all the Hellboys, so well, I've
uh,
seen 1 and 2, the ones that matter.
and Blade 2.
Okay, fucking okay. I guess I'd seen Del Toro movies without realizing I'd seen Del Toro movies because I've seen the entire Blade
Also
trilogy.
from Kung Fu Panda then, right?
Yeah.
He produced those.
Okay. Well, fuck me. I guess I'm just amazing. Uh.
And the Hobbit movies.
Okay. So we're gonna transition by we're gonna do a completely non sequitur cut here, segue, uh, by using the poster in your background. Because we've never talked about Godzilla on stream before, because this is the first one. Okay, so I know your thoughts on the new Godzilla. I know my thoughts on the new Godzilla. So, but I'll give you this one because you're a way bigger Godzilla fan than I am. Um, Pros, cons, and things they need to do for the sequel.
Pros. Creature design. All around, incredibly solid. Cons. Some of the human bits were a little screwy.
They
Uh,
were.
particularly just the way that Aaron Taylor Johnson's character talked to his wife. It just seemed a little
It
too.
seemed just a little abusey, right?
No, I wouldn't say abusey, just a little too sweet and sanguine for my taste.
I don't know. It came off as like really pretentious, like he was looking down on his wife or something.
I can kind of see where you're getting at. Yeah. I think
My biggest problem is the fact that they actually worked in a reasonable way for the human character to have an impact on the monster characters, and that's when he torches the thing's babies. I was like, oh my god,
and
and
then
it
he
was
then he
stupid.
distracted her long enough for Godzilla to start kicking some ass.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Which I guess brings to mind my biggest con is like the completely contrived ways in which the monsters never kill the main human character, even though they have like numerous opportunities to.
but this is also a Godzilla movie, and that's kind of to be expected.
There's a certain amount of ham that has to be in Godzilla.
Right.
It's you can't take it too seriously, and I think that's why. I think that's part of the big reason why the '98 one failed so hard is it took itself too seriously, and then in addition to that, it was just so stupid. Like if it was stupid but didn't take
Fun.
itself seriously, like a lot of kaiju movies don't,
But fun, yeah.
yeah, it would have been bad, but not as notorious as it is. And I'm sad to say I actually liked that movie when I was a kid.
We all did. We didn't know any better. It's like with
Oh,
Batman and Rocky. I didn't know any better.
oh God, Tim Burton's Bat.
No, that's Joel Schumacher.
Oh wait, yeah, that was Joel Schumacher.
Tim Burton did the first one and Batman Returns, which were excellent films.
I don't know that I would necessarily go to that length, laddie, but this is good apple juice, so I'm willing to forgive you.
Washed out a booze bottle with apple juice in them?
Yeah.
Huh. Cool. Huh.
It's logical, mate.
But getting back on track, my expectations for the next Godzilla movie,
Mm-hmm.
more monsters. Straight up, more monsters. It's what Godzilla is. It's like the spine of Godzilla's existence is the monsters.
You know what I'd like to see, and I think I want to see him specifically because I didn't really like him in any of the original series movies that I've seen him in, is Anguirus. Like, I think that these new movies could do a really good Anguirus with the way that they've constructed their world.
Yeah, Anguirus doesn't get enough love, like in general. I don't know a single Godzilla fan who likes Anguirus.
or Angelus, or who depends on which film you're watching, really. Um, but so yeah, I definitely I can see where you're coming at from there because more monsters. I would like to see Angler
Angler?
Rubber.
Fisherman now?
I would like to see Rubberus. Um, or okay, here's something that like I think would be kind of humorous to see, but I don't necessarily want it to be in the movie. Is like if they pull inspiration from Pacific Rim and have like Mecha Godzilla, but piloted by a human.
Which they did in 2003 or
Oh, I did
2000.
not know that. I haven't seen all of them. I'm still working my way.
Godzilla against Mecha Godzilla.
Hmm.
In a weird way, was a direct sequel to the original Gojira. Um,
All the Millennium films were.
yeah,
Yeah, yeah. That is unfortunately the way Millennium works. Is like each movie is its own reboot that is a sequel to Godzilla. Gojira.
so fucked up.
Yeah. But they were all pretty good. So
The Millennium ones are definitely the best ones I think.
I was at a Myers down in Ohio, which for those of you who don't live in like the Great Lakes area, Meyer is like it's pretty much like a local Walmart almost. Um,
Except they don't treat their workers like shit.
it's on and off on that one.
Oh, right.
I can neither confirm nor deny that I work for the company that is being discussed. No, it really depends on what store you go to, and that's for any business.
Right.
I mean, management can make or break a good job,
More or less. But you were saying, trying to get back on track.
Hey, I don't care. This is a ramble video. I don't give a fuck.
Oh, okay.
Well, yeah. See, there are people like to look at the old era of Godzilla and say it's like, oh, these were all good movies. I have no idea what my original point was, by the way. So we're just gonna move. They like to say, oh, these were all good movies. No, they were not all good movies. There were more good movies in a lot of the older Godzilla series, but I mean, for for a bad Godzilla movie, I mean, all I have to do is point you to what is it? It's like All Monsters Attack, I think it's called.
Giant Monsters All Out Attack, I think.
Mm.
Something like that. I'm gonna move over to my chair.
You damn this from my channel!
Yeah. Whew. Oh, Jesus Christ. What I think is really interesting about the way people look at Godzilla as a whole, they tend to write off all that shit in the middle.
Yeah.
Everything on either end of the history is really good. There were some great movies in the Heisei era. I particularly like the Biollante film.
Biollante is such a cool monster.
Oh, God, yeah. And to think, that was something that a fan came up with.
Mm-hmm.
It was like this contest to come up with a plot for a new Godzilla movie in 1989, I think it was?
Who was the big name Japanese film director that the guy who made Godzilla was really good friends with? Akira Kurosawa?
Yes.
Kurosawa.
Yep,
Still
he and Kurosawa were good friends.
Yeah. Kurosawa is just any Japanese film buffs point to Kurosawa as like the quintessential Japanese filmmaker. Pretty much.
More or less.
But well, we're gonna go a little bit of a different topic now. We can come back to this a little bit later when we got some once we kill a little bit more time. But um, okay, so kind of transitioning off of that. Um, I had a list essentially that I built, and I probably should have given you the topic ahead of time to let you build your own top three for this, but fuck it. Um, so this is gonna be, and this was just some bullshit I wrote while I was at work the other day, because I had some spare time. This is my top three and worst three movies based off of video games. Now here's the qualifier.
Oh boy.
I have to have played the video game and I have to have seen the movie. Now, so my number three worst, because I like to start off on a good note. My number three worst, I'm gonna have to say, is probably gonna be. Oh, I'm looking at my thing and I actually did not write one down. But oh, you know what? No, because I had it in my head. And this is a little bit of a kind of a stretch of the rules, but it's the live action adaptation of the Higurashi no Naku Koro ni series, which most people know as an anime, but is also a series of light novels. Or sorry, not light, visual novels, which is if anyone has ever played the Phoenix Wright games, those are actually considered visual novels.
Did not know that.
Yeah, and it's not so much that the live action adaptation was like unfaithful or horrible, but just the characters, the people they got to choose were so generic and bland looking.
Just that it could have
It's just like insert Japanese looking person here. You're so racist. Okay. So, my number three best movie adaptation of a video game. Phoenix Wright.
Oh my god, I saw that just recently actually.
It is actually really fucking funny. It's stupid. It's not cool. It's not great. It's not even entirely faithful to the game, but it's fucking funny.
Yeah. What I really like all the different like floating touchscreen things that they had flying around.
That was hilarious. It was a great way for them to do the whole evidence thing without actually having to do like.
That was my fuck.
Oh man. And I really like the person that they got to play Phoenix, right?
I'm pretty sure he was a Kamen Rider.
He might have been.
So many different actors have been a Kamen Rider. It's hard to keep track of all of them.
See, Kamen Rider, Nick is your Kamen Rider guy. I don't know about Kamen Rider, man. So,
if I remember correctly, the guy who played Rurouni Kenshin in that live action movie was Kamen Rider Den-O.
No. No.
You're just like, nah.
Yeah, that's sure. I'll go with you on that one. Number two worst. Actually, to put this into perspective, I'm gonna have to give you my number two best, because they kind of bounce off of each other. So my number two best movie adaptation of a video game is the first two Resident Evil movies.
Oh my god, that's so great.
Which puts into perspective my number two worst, all the other Resident Evil movies.
Oh, come on, the ones with Wesker weren't too horrible. Could have been better.
Wesker was horrible. Are you kidding me? Oh, I like the guy that got to play him was okay enough. Like he's no DC Douglas as far as his voice goes, but like I can look past that. But just like the contrived ass bullshit to give him his powers, like it's an evolution of the T virus, and like you should have brought more, and and fucking the dogs and plagas are somehow the T virus goes from being a virus to a parasite, and bitch gets psychic powers and dumb stupid shit, and I don't like Extinction and Beyond. I just don't.
Fair enough. Well, at
Well,
least
two
the
were great.
be the last one.
Mm.
Although I'm fairly certain I said that 2 movies ago.
Mm. Okay. My number one most hated adaptation of a video game, and this comes entirely from how much I love the video games. Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah. It was like I was willing to give it a chance. I went and saw it in theaters, and it was bad.
Oh, yeah.
It was like they tried to incorporate elements from all three. Like at different points in the movie, he wears all of the different costumes that he's had in all the games, and like the first thing I didn't really like was the name they gave him, Dustan. It doesn't sound right to me when he's running around with. I think some of the other characters' names were like Ahab and like and you know actual like Arabic sounding names, like names you might actually hear from a person from Persia. But Dustan just sounds like they took Dustin and tried to make it sound Persian.
And poor. Oh, man. Poor bastard.
See, I think their biggest mistake was attempting to cram too much into one movie.
Yes.
Because if they'd have taken the time and tried to turn it into a trilogy, I think it would have done a little bit better. Because they actually could have taken some of the plot points. But like the hugest part of that movie for me was no Farah. Like you don't get this self-confident, capable female character who ends up being captured purely because the enemies that they're going against are so strong, and she's not a warrior, she's an archer, and let's face it, archers don't fare well against the types of enemies that you fight in Prince of Persia. Although have you played the Two Thrones? She kicks all sorts of ass in that movie or that game. Oh my god! I'm thinking about going back and let's playing some of my favorite games on this channel, and Prince of Persia is definitely on the list. It's gonna be like Prince of Persia, Eternal Darkness, Sanity's Requiem is one of the ones I'm thinking about doing.
Oh, man, I love Eternal Darkness.
That game is so sick, right? It's so underrated.
So underrated.
Oh man.
Oh my god, I love Lovecraftian shit.
It's right, and you've got like the giant tentacle Kraken Cthulhu monster, and it turns out to be the good guy. Yeah.
He's not even. He's just Cthulhu.
Cthulhu is not a good nor evil. And then I have to say, I think my favorite, and see, a lot of people, it's technically a mini-series, but when you watch it, like, on Netflix, it's all as one thing.
Oh, yeah.
Halo Forward Unto Dawn.
Oh, my god, yeah.
Oh, it's so good.
That is the closest we're ever going to get to Blomkamp's Halo, and it's so good. Oh, it's so good.
It's like, okay, I'll admit, some of the stuff was wonky,
Well,
But
special effects were kind of dodgy here and there.
yeah, but like the underlying love story sort of thing that happens there with Lasky and the girl, uh, it doesn't feel forced. Like they just kind of throw it in there for it to be like you could tell that these two start off with like a friendly rivalry, and it actually turns into genuine affection, and then boom, spoiler alert, she fucking dies at the very end. And dude, I got broke up. That was
That
it
was
was
rough. That was pretty rough.
such a good series. I would seriously recommend Halo 4 Unto Dawn. I was very skeptical going into it, and I think that's why it's higher on the list than some of the other movies that I mentioned. Um, because strictly because of the fact that it was such a surprise how good it actually was.
I did not expect it to be good.
No, I
I'm
didn't.
not gonna lie. I expected it to be crap.
Uh, but yeah, man, I cannot I cannot get over how much I like that series. I've watched it about 3 times, um, and it's kind of funny because they do kind of throw in this little in universe nod to the fact that for the most part, the only humans that use Covenant weapons, for the most part, are Spartans. So, like, you see, I mean, you get to see the main characters wielding these Covenant weapons, but they're very like dodgy and sort of inaccurate with them, and like
Yup.
they're oh, it's so great. But just a couple. I have honorable mentions for both categories. My honorable mentions for shitty video game movie is Ultraviolet.
That was based on a video game?
As far as I was told, and see, that's why it's an honorable mention and not actually on the list, is because I've never actually played whatever video game this was supposed to be based off of.
Oh yeah, that movie was so bad.
Yeah. But then, actually, and the reason this is an honorable mention is because it wasn't a video game, it was a light novel that explored the concept of what would happen if you took video game rules and imposed them on real war. Um, Japanese fans will know the novel version of, the novel that the movie is based off of as All You Need Is Kill. And the movie is actually still in theaters as of the recording of this. It's called Edge of Tomorrow.
Oh yeah, that one. I've been wanting to see that.
Sincerely good movie.
Everyone says Tom Cruise is really good in it. Like everyone who I've asked who's seen it said, "Oh, Tom Cruise is great in it. His best role since
Absolutely. Yeah, I have to say I've really been liking Tom Cruise lately. I didn't like him up until like I liked him in Oblivion and I liked him in this. So if he keeps doing these kind of roles, but Edge of Tomorrow is just a sincerely good movie. I'm not gonna spoil it because it's still pretty recent, but essentially the main character um, through a series of events that is actually pretty clever. They actually explain to you how this happens pretty soon after it happens. Um,
I have to go. I'll be right back
okay. Um, it's pretty much this through a series of events that happen in his first battle. Um, he ends up in a time loop where he's storming this beach Normandy style, and then every time he dies, it resets the day. Now, at first, I thought this was just going to be kind of like a novel concept, like ooh, they're just gonna do it, whatever. Because I had actually not heard of All You Need Is Kill before I saw this movie. Um, but it's actually pretty good. Uh, you you get a pretty nice sense of like how the characters are feeling. Um, it's well, I have to say, Digi Bro, for anybody that knows that YouTuber, did a really nice review of it. where he basically explained how the reason that it's such a different experience and that it's actually pretty good is it actually has a better pacing than the book, and I can definitely agree on that now that I've seen and read respectively both of them. Is that the book spends much more time in the main character's head, where the movie just kind of gives you these glances of his facial features. And I have to say, for some of the roles he's played, dude, Tom Cruise emotes really well in this movie. Like, he doesn't just sit there and, blank face, like, I'm an action hero. You will fall before me. I will kill your whole family. I don't know what was happening in his background, but it matched the awkwardness of that. Mm. Anyhow, let me see. Let me jump in the chat. Nobody's in chat. Who am I kidding? Okay. All right. So, but yeah, Edge of Tomorrow is really good. I'd really recommend it. Solid story. Ending is a little bit but I mean, they tied it together and kind of made it so that everything made sense, you know. Um,
Oh boy.
Other than that, hey Nick,
Hello.
you missed my entire explanation of Edge of Tomorrow.
Good.
It was a spoiler-free version. Ooh, yeah, you heard me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. That was disgusting. Oh man. I know you can fucking care less, but the new Magic the Gathering that launches in a couple of weeks, the core set for the year.
Yeah, it's Core Set 2015, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I'm not a Magic player, but I'm sure some of the people that will end up watching this play Magic, so go for it.
Oh man, the new Garruk Apex Predator, 7 mana, black green, Planeswalker card. Let's see, he kills a Planeswalker, summons a creature, kills another creature, you gain life equal to its toughness, and his final ability, everything you attack with gets a 5/5 and trample. Yeah, he's one of the rare few that has 4 abilities and go 3.
I don't know what any of those things mean.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be massive in standard.
Yeah, man. That's what can I say?
I know you know a little bit about the lore.
Just what you've told me, really. I know about the big ass dragon thing and about that one character that you really hate, Jace. I think his name is.
Fuck Jace. Fucking.
Oh man.
Well, at this point in the overall lore, Garruk, the hunter Planeswalker, is afflicted with a curse from another Planeswalker named Liliana Vest. And he's pretty pissed off about that. Rightfully so.
So each core set is pretty much like getting a new set of lore, then. It's like a new novel to the series.
More or less. I mean, every block set has its own story. Like Theros had its own story, Ravnica has its own story.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Let's see. What else can we talk about?
Your TV show's coming out this fall?
See, I caught the first 3 episodes of the new Legend of Korra season this morning.
I kind of dropped off. Like, it's not that I lost interest. It's just there's so many other shows I was watching at the time.
Well, I kind of dropped off of Korra season 2 and then watched it all at once it was over. So what I'm probably gonna end up doing is with this season is the same way that I read manga. Is I'm gonna like let a few episodes accumulate and then watch them all in a row. But overall, really nice start to this new season. Because season 2, I didn't hate it as much as a lot of people did, but season 2 did a lot of like weird things, and it was pretty unevenly paced.
Mm.
But I mean, I like Legend of Korra so far. It's a more like it feels like the kind of show that like
You okay, man?
it feels like the kind of show that that uh, like they could tell that people were kids when they watched Avatar, so they targeted the show to be both appealable to kids, but also to be watchable by the kids that watched Avatar when that was
I can see that, yeah. That's kind of the same approach that Pixar took with Monsters University.
running.
Um,
I can't believe it took them so long to make a sequel then. Prequel.
the one I'm actually kind of looking forward to is The Strain by Guillermo del Toro.
I know nothing of it.
Vampire!
See, I was really into the Vampire Diaries until this most recent season, and now I'm just kind of like, fuck it, I'll just watch the originals because all the good characters are there now, except for Caroline and Damon. And I know you don't watch that series, but it was a really good series with really interesting lore and a really mature tone. But like this most recent season just kind of ruined it for me. It's like, yeah, and I'm perfectly comfortable spoiling this, so fuck it. It's just like, yeah, cause fucking we killed Catherine, and fucking guess what? Stefan was a doppelganger the entire time, and it's like, god damn it, yeah. I just don't want to watch this series anymore. It's kind of like how after like the last couple seasons, True Blood just turned into like this shitty pile of shit. It's like, hey, let's just make it up as we go. Or even better than that, the most recent chapters of Bleach. Because fuck Bleach.
No, I haven't watched Bleach since Rukia was about to be executed.
Mm. Bleach got fucking epic during the Eisen arc when they actually like go in and like take out that bastard. But just everything after that has been shit. Because it's like during the Eisen arc, and I'm gonna abandon all pretenses that people don't want to be spoiled for things on this, by the way. So if you don't want to be spoiled for Bleach, just
I could care less. I haven't religiously watched any anime since then.
yeah. What's just like, in order to defeat Aizen, Ichigo unlocks this level of power that it essentially equates to you become almost godlike in strength, but you lose your Shinigami powers the moment you leave this form, and you can only sustain it for a certain amount of time. So he manages to defeat Aizen. They imprison him and Ichigo goes back to living a normal life. And there's a lot of really cool potential there for I honestly wouldn't have minded if they kind of went for more of a drama thing with small aspects of supernatural to continue the series after that. But no, it's just like, hey, guess what? There's a secret raid that would turn your powers back, and well, guess what? The powers that you lost weren't actually your Shinigami powers. They were the version of your powers that Rukia gave to you. And the thing that you thought was your Zanpakuto was actually the Quincy King, and the hollow version of you was your real Zanpakuto to begin with, and like your mom was a Quincy, and your cousins with Uryu or some bullshit like that. Like I honestly stopped reading it about that point, and pretty much recently it's like Ichigo and Kenpachi are just kind of unstoppable. Like they're Mary Sue characters at this point.
Just like Torin.
Just like what now?
Jace, the faggot.
Oh yeah.
Anytime someone calls Jace, I always lose, no matter what.
Sounds like you got a little butt hurtness there, buddy.
Jace is a faggot. He needs to be banned from stands again.
Okay, so we're gonna bounce off of this to another topic that's been on my mind lately. If that cool? Unless you want to talk about other shitty animes.
Shitty anime.
No, there's a lot of it, but there's just as much good anime, so I can forget it. I mean, for every new Bleach, there's an old Bleach, you know.
For every on Titan, there's a Kill la Kill.
I like Attack on Titan. Fuck you. I like them both.
Everyone has their different pleasures.
I know, but I like Attack on Titan and I like Kill la Kill. But I will definitely say this: the art for Attack on Titan is much better than the art for Kill la Kill. So if what you like for anime for is the art, you'll probably hate Kill la Kill. Because Kill la Kill has some really shitty moments as far as the animation goes.
Oh, come on.
Like,
Apple.
Mm-hmm. With no label. See? No label. I don't own the rights to this label. So, okay. But what we're gonna bounce off to, and this is something a lot of anime fans will call me a heretic for, but fuck it, we'll do it live. This is another list of mine. It's my top 5 characters that sound better in English. Now, it's pretty much common consensus that subs are better than dubs among anime fans, which is mostly true. I can give them that. It's mostly true.
Yeah.
But there are definitely some anime and video game characters produced by Japan that sounded better in their English counterparts. Okay? Now, we're going to start off at the bottom of my list, just like we did last time, and we're going to work our way up. So my number 5 character that sounded better in English is Sasuke Uchiha from Naruto.
Oh God, Paul's voice is so good for him.
Oh my God, it is. Except it's Yuri Lowenthal.
I said Yuri.
Oh, I thought you said Simon Paul. I was like, who the fuck is Simon Paul? But yes, no, Yuri Lowenthal. And it's almost exclusively because he voices him like a more angsty version of the Prince of Persia.
He was the Prince of Persia, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was the prince. Yeah.
Oh my God, I just realized that. I'm an idiot.
He is a fucking amazing voice actor, and I like him. He does it really good. Like, see, and this is the thing is like, the Japanese voice actor's not bad, but he just kind of comes off as emotionless to me. Whereas, like, I'm not a huge fan of Sasuke as a character. We'll get that out there right now. I used to be a big fan of his character until, like, we hit the Shippuden arc. And then it's just kind of
such a faggot now.
Yeah. Well, actually, in the last few chapters, he's actually been pretty, well, last few chapters I've read, I'm a little bit behind, but he was actually being pretty redeemable, because he essentially teams up with the good guys for entirely selfish reasons, which is what Sasuke's kind of character should do, if you ask me. It's like, yeah. But like during the entire time between when he breaks out of being Orochimaru's little servant, to when he defeats his brother and finds out that like his brother was essentially scapegoated by the village. Oh man, that entire time I just hate his fucking guts. But you know what? I can give Yuri Lowenthal this. He plays angsty Sasuke very well. Anything to contribute?
I'm also gonna. I actually have not watched Naruto since Sasuke left the first time.
Okay, I can give you that. I have not watched much of Shippuden because
I've read bits and pieces here and there, though.
I used to watch the anime, is what I used to do. And we got a year and a half of filler between the original and Shippuden.
Oh god, that's why I stopped watching. Oh my god.
And we started into Shippuden, we got a little bit into Shippuden.
Then more filler.
Okay, yeah. Okay. Sorry, I just got your text. Yeah, just careful. Anyway, um, but then we got to Shippuden. We got a little bit into Shippuden, and then it's like, hey, guess what? Another filler arc, and I was like, no, I'm just gonna start reading the manga. Because like the manga was well ahead of the anime at this point, and they were just like,
didn't
filler.
Neji die in the anime?
Huh?
Didn't Neji just recently die in the anime?
I think so, yeah.
And he's been dead in the manga for like a year now?
It was more recently than that. It's about 7 or 8 months ago, I think. I don't know the exact time period on that, but yeah, just like I actually like the way Naruto's been going recently. I know a lot of my friends don't like it, but I mean, the series is just growing to Gurren Lagann levels of ridiculousness. Well, not quite, but like Kill la Kill levels of ridiculous.
Dude, I'm pretty sure Kill la Kill is even more ridiculous than Kill Lagann.
No, in Gurren Lagann, they literally grow to the size of the size of several galaxies and start throwing galaxies at each other like shuriken. And in the movie version of the final fight, they clash 2 Giga Drill Breakers together and suck up the entire anti-spiral universe, and then cause a Big Bang, which starts it all over again.
Yeah.
We're so fucking gay, dude. Anyways,
Fucking weird.
number 4 on my list, and this is only to people that played the Final Fantasy XIII series and actually liked it. Caius Ballad. Caius Ballad, main antagonist of the second game and secondary antagonist of the third game. Well, to put this into perspective, he's voiced by Liam O'Brien.
I know.
Yeah, he does the English voice of Gaara. He does Sanctus in Devil May Cry 4. He's known for his very exuberant voice. Yeah, actually, I have the YouTube app, but I'm not sure how well it works for recordings. So, the YouTube app for Google Plus, that is. So I'm not gonna quite do it, but he does. Oh, what's a character that he's done that you would have seen? I know he did the English version of Archer Emiya, which actually I'm working on a top 5 worst list right now, and actually Archer Emiya is on my worst list for English voice actors, just because it's like it's Liam O'Brien, but the lines they give him are so shitty. Oh I fucking got it. So
That might have just been a translation error then.
Mm-mm. He has lines that he's doing, like literally. Archer has these lines where it's very English, but he's like, "I am the bone of my soul," which is a complete sentence. But it's like, "I am the bone of my sword, steals my body and fires my blood. I have created over 1,000 blades, unknown to death nor known to life. Have withstood pain to create many weapons. Yet those hands will never hold anything. So as I pray, unlimited blade wounds." Is the entire chain. I like this character. But you get to the English version, and it's like, even though the chant is in English, he's like, "I am the flesh and bone of my sword." And like the last couple lines, he's like, "Yet those hands that have worked so hard will never be able to hold anything." And I'm like, why? It was already in English. This is not a translation error. Oh, man. But the thing that makes Caius Ballard a well-voiced character for me is that they give him this one line at the very end of the game that just sent shivers down my spine the first time I saw it. Now, the essential premise for this character is that he's the eternally living guardian of the reincarnated version of a young girl called Yule, who always dies before she gets the chance to grow up. Which a lot of people rip on Final Fantasy 13, but to me, that's a supremely good concept. Like, Final Fantasy 13-2 is easily on par with the entire rest of the series. But they give him this line at the end because he's legitimately trying to kill the goddess so that time will stop, chaos will flow into the mortal realm, everything will cease to exist, and he will not have to know the pain of watching this little girl that he loves every version of die over and over again. And this character who got to know the very last Yule, who's like the second character in your party, he's like, "Do you really think that?" And it's just such this bitch slap moment because this goody two shoes protagonist is like, "Do you really think that Yule would want you to do this?" And Caius is just like, "Which Yule? I've known thousands of Yules, and every one of them was unique. There was a Yule that loved flowers. There was a Yule that blah blah blah." And it's this really like heartfelt moment where he's just incredibly, like, it's this rant at the world sort of moment, and I really dig that.
It's sort of sucks me.
Yeah, precisely.
Which I love. I love those so much.
Okay, so my number 3 on my list of characters that are better in English: Edward Elric from Full Metal Alchemist. Mostly because I can't stand his fucking Japanese voice actor. Like, all of the rest of the Japanese cast are phenomenal. But for some reason, Ed just rubs me the wrong way. Like, he doesn't seem like the type of character that he sounds like.
Ed the type of nigga.
You know? I really wish Earl were watching this because he says that a lot. And I don't have a whole lot else to say about that. That's really my only reason for liking him better in English, is that I don't like his Japanese voice actor. Actually, in a redone version of this list, he and number 4 are kind of interchangeable to me, depending on how I feel on any given day. Number 2. You ready? This is the only. Well, this is, other than Caius, this is the only video game character on the list. Solid Snake. Well, the snake in general.
Snake? Snake? Snake!
Major, I need to know what's going on with your asshole.
Dun, dun, dun.
But like, and I know David Hayter's not doing the voice anymore, but the new guy's not bad. It's kind of like Sam Fisher. The new guy's not David Hayter. The new guy, with Sam Fisher, it was Michael Ironside. But the new guy's not bad.
Oh man, I love Kiefer Sutherland.
Kiefer Sutherland is fucking awesome. And interesting note, the character that they're calling, oh god, what's the name of the main character of Moby Dick? Oh, he's the guy who's Ahab, I think is his name. Yeah, Ishmael, that's his name. Yeah, the guy that they're calling Ishmael, he's like this weird enigmatic figure who's entirely wrapped up in bandages. Ishmael is also voiced by Kiefer Sutherland.
Oh.
Yeah, cool. Which is raising a lot of questions like, is this character entirely in Punished Snake's head? Oh man. But let's see. And here's my number one on the list. And this is one I think that a lot of people can probably agree with. Goku. From, because his Japanese voice, I say,
It doesn't work. It doesn't work.
It sounds really weird.
There's
coming out of Goku's mouth.
Disconnect between the character and the voice.
Mm-hmm.
It's like here you have Goku, who's strong,
not too bright, but like no.
Voice doesn't fit with that. Nothing against Nothing against. She does well with what she has, but
you need to talk a little bit more into the microphone, by the way, because you keep cutting out a little bit. But yeah, she does. She does well with what she has, but she doesn't do Goku very well.
Right.
Oh man. Well, it's kind of like the character who voices Naruto in the English version of Naruto is a woman, and
which I didn't know for the longest time.
Other than the initial bad startup, she doesn't do a bad Naruto. I'll say that.
No, she doesn't.
She's not Kage Bunshin no Jutsu, but she's not a bad.
I don't remember her name.
Man, but so yeah, that's gonna wrap up my list.
I really don't have some stuff like that because I honestly generally don't pay attention to stuff like voice actors, like just specifically voice actors. Because it's not just them that's putting in the performance. It's the sound guy. It's
the animator. Yeah. Well, see, here was my criteria for this list. Was, of course, I had to have seen the fucking thing. God forbid I actually see something I talk about. Right, Nick? Right. Dead Space? Nick?
Shush.
But other than that, sorry, I get very handsy. I get very handsy when I drink apple juice. I mean, it's just like, okay, other than having to have seen it, and I kind of like discounted where these anime actually rate among my favorite list, in favor of A, how well does the voice match the character? That was the first thing I thought of. My second was how well did they perform the character? Because, I mean, you could have a big, gruff character with a big, gruff voice, and if they play him as a monotone shithead, then it's not going to work. And my third criteria was, of course, that the Japanese version of it had to not do as well for those other two criteria as the English version. As the that was most of what I wanted to talk about. What about you? You seen any good movies lately? Been watching any good shows?
Um, well, I've been watching more of the X-Files a lot.
I didn't see a whole lot of the X Files, to be perfectly honest.
Well, it came out the year I was born, so naturally I missed most of it.
Yeah.
Um, and by the time it was wrapping up, I wasn't even interested. So naturally, I'd be interested as an adult, and great, I love
X
it.
Files had a quite a long run, yes.
I mean, it practically launched David Duchovny's career. Um,
Uh,
because I'm an adult, I can watch a lot more of the movies I missed as a kid, like Lock, Stock, and Two Smoking Barrels is a great one. Just about a bunch of dudes who want to pull a heist on someone in England, and it's really, really funny, pretty violent.
yeah, it's like I said, I never got too obscenely um into the X Files. It was kind of like a Twilight Zone to me. Like it was interesting, but I never really got into it.
I can see reasons. Yeah.
Oh man.
Like, there was one episode of season 1 that was a straight up homage to the thing, which, on its own, is a great movie.
Yeah.
Most people don't know this, but John Carpenter, the guy who directed it, actually did the music too.
Hmm.
He just gave the credit to someone else. Because humble? I don't know.
He's dumb.
I don't know. Maybe
But
they launched someone else's career in the field. Who knows?
but okay. I think I have one more thing that I could talk about before we kill this. Unless you had some topics you wanted to talk about. Which I'm fine with.
Not really. I pretty much got the bullet points I wanted to do.
Yeah. All right.
We should do this more often.
Yeah, I'm fine with that. I'm thinking about seeing if I can bring some other people in as well. Get some different opinions on stuff. Just talk about what's been going on.
Sounds good to me. Politics out of it. That gets annoying.
Yeah. But
So
okay.
please.
Here's all right. Here's my last topic of the day. Before we either start rambling about shit or cut this off. Why it's okay for Assassin's Creed to release a new game every year, but not okay for Call of Duty to do it. Because this is something a lot of people rag on Call of Duty and Assassin's Creed for.
I haven't really thought about that. You're bringing up a good point.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about this all day at work. Essentially, here's how I feel. Call of Duty does not have a very fleshed out storyline. It's just kind of like shoot shit, do stuff, give
Be racist.
Yeah. So Call of Duty releasing a new game every year with essentially the same or similar or slightly altered mechanics is not okay because they're not really offering anything new.
Right.
Assassin's Creed, on the other hand, has a lot of story territory that they can explore. Like for instance, this kind of started when they did 2 Brotherhood and Revelations, all year after year after year. Then they did 3. Then they did 4.
And now Unity.
Yeah. And here's the big thing, is with Assassin's Creed 1 there were a lot of questions that were left unanswered. Now obviously those were meant to be answered in 2. And some of them were, and 2 brought up more questions than it answered. So there was Revelations to answer like some of the questions that happened with Ezio's life after whatever. There's this whole entire spectrum of stuff.
Oh yeah.
And
Comic books.
like my friend's brother, I won't name the friend because he's probably going to be in one of these at some point. But my friend's brother he called Assassin's Creed some pseudo-philosophical shite, essentially. Um, and the reason I don't agree with that is because Assassin's Creed, it's drifted quite a lot away from the philosophy, but in the same way, the philosophy that's there is not as blatantly in your face as it was in the first game. Like, for instance, in the first game, it was, establishing the whole, like, what does it mean to say nothing is true, everything is permitted? Well, it doesn't mean that you literally just do whatever you want, and it doesn't mean that there are no facts. What it means is be wise with, be wise with what you believe from other people, and be, never be afraid to do what needs to be done.
I'd say so. Yeah.
Um, which is essentially the theme of the first game. Now, the second game is a lot more about family, and vengeance, and it does drift quite a lot away from the assassin like theology almost. But what you do get is you get a couple really nice snippets, like all of the little quotes that Ezio says to his victims after a successful assassination. Um, and you get a couple good things, like your first assassination against Vieri de Pazzi is like Ezio just kind of started. Well, actually, it's your second, but it's your first like real target assassination to just not get out of the city. But when you kill Vieri de Pazzi, Ezio just kind of like starts saying, "You motherfucker! I hope you burn in hell." All in Italian, of course, but he's just like, "I hope you burn in hell for everything that you did, you scummy piece of garbage," and just like starts going off on him. And then his uncle Mario comes up to him and puts a hand on his shoulder, and he's just like, "You are not Vieri. Do not become him." That is a really good philosophical lesson to teach people, gamers. Is like,
Sort of the whole seek revenge must be the thing.
yeah, and you get the revenge theme in the trailer too, with hi movie, Mr. Movie, he's moving, he's got lights and he's moving. You are actually reverbing so hard that it's coming back into my mic, I think.
Yeah, I know. My shit is that. But please,
tell me I haven't been echoing this entire time.
Not on my end.
Okay, so we should be good.
I have
Not a whole lot, actually.
Huh.
Not from my end. But like, essentially the vengeance theme of 2 is that when you do what must be done, and again it branches off of the assassin ideal, is that if you do what must be done, then don't necessarily do it for selfish reasons. And then you get Brotherhood, which has a lot to say about leadership. You get Revelations, which has a lot to say about growing old and coming to accept yourself as a person. It's because Revelations is a very personal journey for old Ezio.
If you compare Revelation to anything else, I would say I could compare it to like Miller's The Dark Knight Returns.
Yes, very much a Dark Knight Returns style story.
Because Bruce getting old for this shit. He wants to retire. He goes out in a bang.
Yeah, it's yeah. Ew. Dark Knight Returns. There's something we could do a video about. But Yeah, definitely. Assassin's Creed 3 tends to be the black sheep of the series. Now, I don't dislike it as much as a lot of people seem to. Again, I've said that with another thing in this video before, but I don't dislike it as much as a lot of people seem to. But it's definitely the weakest on the theology. The message that at least I seem to get from Assassin's Creed 3 is that, and it's kind of a it's kind of a dual message with liberation as well, is that liberty always comes at a price, and if you there's a little bit to say about like hypocrisy in there. Like, if you're going to preach liberty for one people, you have to preach it for all people. There's actually quite a lot to Assassin's Creed 3, um, especially because it's a much more historical depiction of the founding fathers than you usually get in American media. What you usually get in our media is like founding fathers, fucking best people
Shining
ever.
beacons of civilization and whatnot.
Yeah, it's like I had an argument with somebody the other day about how like you should respect the founding fathers for what they did, but not glorify them for things that they weren't. You know, like, yes, this country would probably not exist without the founding fathers, but at the same time, I mean, most of them were slave owners. They originally wrote the Constitution only to apply to white male landowners.
Yep.
Uh, I mean, we had to amend the fucking thing to get slavery outlawed.
And women to vote,
Yeah, I mean, it's
and
like,
allow minorities to vote.
exactly. And see, this is for those that watch this later. This is being recorded on July 5th, so it's the day after the 4th. And I personally don't think that we should celebrate July 4th as our Independence Day, as it were, um, or at least as the day that we celebrate our patriotism, um, for a couple reasons. One, because, well, the Declaration of Independence was signed on July 2nd, not July 4th. Um, but the thing that actually had the most to do with the founding of our country was the Constitution. And let's be honest, how many of us celebrate Constitution Day?
He said, no one.
Yeah, right? Oh, man. But, okay. Just to keep this going, because I don't even give a fuck, I do have another thing we could talk about if you wanted to. It's definitely more political and racy than what we've been talking about.
Politics out of these things.
What's that now?
I'd rather we keep politics out of these little videos.
Okay, I will leave Elliot Rogers out of these videos then.
Please, because I don't want to show people my angry side.
Yeah, I don't want to show people my angry side. Fucking, oh god.
Oh
I
man.
can't believe so many people are coming to this asshole's defense, though. Anyway, it's still fresh in my mind, even if the rest of the country seems to have fucking forgotten about it.
That just
Anyhow,
proves that you're aware and that you give a shit.
no, I care a lot about stupid fucks like that. But yeah. Anyhow, there's more that I could say about Assassin's Creed 4, but just go play that game because it's fucking good. Um,
Aaron?
spend to win.
Where?
In their ranks.
Demacia.
Demacia! Dude.
Timo,
Dude, I'm a Demacia all over your face right now.
Well, I'd say this is a pretty good first video.
Yeah. I mean, we only had one viewer, but hey. And they
Hi,
left about 20 minutes ago.
person. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, whoever decided to drop in. This is this rambly piece of shit ass video. Hopefully, next time we'll think of something interesting to talk about. But until then,
See you later, everyone.
stopping broadcast.